long-awaited, highly anticipated show by Mark Jackson has finally kicked off. We all know Camron and Mace, they struck a major deal with Mark Jackson. They were very upset with his departure, just like everybody else, but clearly history has been made here. And I'm just happy to see Mark Jackson, back in a basketball capacity. It seems like we in a day now where everybody has, especially when it comes to the legends and things like that, former NBA players, everybody has their own show, so this seems like to be the new thing now. Um, and Mark Jackson is more than qualified. He was let go, by ESPN along with Van Gundy and company. It was a mass exile, when they got everybody up out of there. It sent shockwaves throughout the sports world, but now here we are now. Cameron joked. Well, it wasn't a joke, but he said him and Mace came down with a major proposal, on Mark Jackson, and you see in the fruits of the labor. Clearly, Mark Jackson is doing something epic because he is hosting the show with his son. We're gonna break it all down, and what this means, and possibly the guests that he can get on, and maybe we finally are gonna hear some of the questions that we always wanted to know. But his son Mark Jr. will be hosting with him, so we get to see him on another light. And clearly, Camron and Mace, and like I said, this show is going to be on the Come Talk to Me. So make sure you subscribe. Also, subscribe to Flight Sports because we're going to be covering everything involving the Mark Jackson show. We got a lot of Camron content. Shout out to Harlem World. This is a New York situation anyway with Mark Jackson. This is major. This is big for New York. You understand? What people don't understand, like New York is coming together. You see the Stephen A. Smith connection. Who runs ESPN, for crying out loud? It won't be long, probably before Mark Jackson gets back on his feet. But it seems like Mark Jackson wants to go the independent route. Camron let it be known that he doesn't have to work for these guys. Look what Cam is doing. This guy Camron is starting something massive. With this network, it's not even a show anymore. People will continue to say Cam got the pie. No, Cam he's building a network. You understand? A network. With various shows. I mean, this is this is genius. You understand what is taking place right now, by Camron and he let it be known that he didn't sign Mark Jackson. It's not like that, but they partners, and he's very appreciative because just like this is big for Cam. I mean, big for Cam and all of that. Mark Jackson coming there is going to heighten, both of their profiles. Now it's like, whoa, y'all got Mark Jackson. Look who he's with. He could have got with JJ Redick. He could have got with, well, I can't say he could have because, it seems like Mark Jackson was pretty much on a taboo, and he was on ESPN, and that's where we was able to continue to hear his voice. But it seemed like after ESPN pulled the plug, Mark Jackson was done. You didn't hear nothing no more from Mark Jackson. He wasn't a guest on any of these shows, or podcasts or anything like that that's going on. So at the end of the day, it's messed up. Mark Jackson got done a raw deal, point blank period. He didn't deserve it, but it is what it is. Mark will always be remembered, for what he established in Golden State. Pretty much, not pretty much, giving Steph Curry, Clay, Draymond, all these guys the tools. Andrew Bogut as well. I got to throw a lot David Lee. What? See, people forget though because you just see Curry and Clay and Draymond. It was David Lee. He was instilling a lot of confidence in these guys. And it's unbelievable. to see him just be done just completely horrible. Mark should have got another job in the NBA. I think about all of these jobs that were open. You look at Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland in Cleveland, coaching vacancy open up. How does Mark Jackson not get that job? If you have two guards, all star caliber guards, for you not contacting Mark Jackson, it just doesn't make any sense. It's really bad, and like I said, they just have to figure it out. But Mark is finally in a situation now where he can pretty much be independent. He doesn't have to worry about the network getting fired. He can pretty much operate, clear. And we haven't seen Mark Jackson in that state in a very long time. But I want to see the guests that he can bring on. I want to see who's gonna stand with Mark Jackson. Because we're gonna finally see. We know, obviously, um, Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes. I can see something like that. But who else is gonna stand with him? That's gonna be the $1 million question. But we're gonna be tuned in, man. Let me know what you are most excited. Let me know the groundbreaking news. Cam and Mace, they doing big things ever since they got that Fantasy Springs deal. So it's crazy. The part of me, the underdog fantasy, excuse me, I said Fantasy Springs. So it's wild what's going on with Cam. It's like, what's next? It's like, are we gonna hear he got Shaq next? I mean, seriously, what's gonna happen? And the show is cool, and and it has sustainability. A lot of people probably thought it was gonna be a flash in the pan, but the Cam is gonna be around discussing sports and having a voice in this for a while. Clearly he has his retirement just wrapped up, with music, and where he's still going to be relevant. He's still going to be a part of the culture, So Cam is just, like I said, he ain't going nowhere. And I think that just as big as he was in the music, I think that he can be just as iconic, in the sports world. Just alone, he's established Mark Jackson, OJ, this guy, that guy, bringing New York legends on and getting the conversations that we always wanted to hear from a perspective that we won't get anywhere else. I'm going to leave it at that. It's Flight Sports TV. Peace and love. Shout out to everybody that's rocking with me. Salute to Mark Jackson. Shout out to Cam, Mace, Harlem. You already know